Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to our regular council meeting of Wednesday, April 23rd, 2025. I'll now call the meeting to order, and I acknowledge that we are in Mi'kma'ki, the ancestral unceded territory of the Mi'kmaq people. Number 2, administrative and procedural issues. 2.1, approval of today's agenda. The motion is that the agenda be approved as presented. Is there any changes or additions, Mr. Herrick?
There is one, Your Worship, and that is the date of the May council meeting.
Where would that be?
And we should add that as probably item 6.5, if that works.
6.5. And that would be date of May council meeting, right?
Yep.
Okay, so good. Okay, so you've all heard the amendment to the agenda. If I have a motion to approve today's agenda, that would be good. So moved by Councillor Strong, seconded by Deputy Mayor Gould. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Contrary minded? Hearing none, motion is carried. Thank you very much. I will direct your attention to the declaration of the conflict of interest as per the Municipal Conflict of Interest Act. Anyone in today's meeting is required to declare a conflict of interest prior to any discussion on the matter. Thank you.
Your Worship, although I'm not a member of council and don't vote, item 4.1 relates directly to me, and so when you discuss that, I'll just take a seat in the gallery.
Perfect. Thank you very much. See you out. 2.3, approval of the minutes. The minutes of the March 26, 2025 regular council meeting be approved. Motion to approve those, please. Moved by Councillor Lee, seconded by Councillor McCormick. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Contrary minded? Motion carried. Thank you very much. Business arising. Mr. Herrick.
Thank you, Worship. Business arising is at pages 11 and 12 in the council information package, and as usual, it's organized into a couple of buckets. One, the most recent council meeting, and the other is the ongoing list of items that have taken more than just the month to resolve. Page 11 is the March 26th meeting. Most items are complete. Number 5, the termination of the lease agreement at Cape Dore is in progress. Notice has been given, but the actual implementation of that is in progress. Number 8 relates to sending letters of support to the Premier and Member of Parliament and NSFM regarding basic income, and that is now complete. It was marked as in progress in your council package. Stop there and ask if there are any questions before I move to the next page.
Seeing none, go ahead.
Thank you. So page 12 is the ongoing action list, sale of surplus properties. These ones have been, a number of these have been hanging around for a bit, but it's that there are issues attached to them. So surplus properties, Clark Street in Spring Hill. I think we're now into the place where we're going to have a survey done. And so that is taking some time. The demolition order for 191 McGee Street is also in progress. The building is down, but the property isn't necessarily cleaned up yet. Swan Creek Protected Wilderness Area designation is not yet complete. I believe that we're waiting for some indication from the province, correct? And Shaw Rural Housing, the development agreement related to the development between Mechanic and Elm Streets in Spring Hill is in progress. I spoke with the Vice President of Shaw Rural Housing as late as 11:30 this morning, so it's well in progress, but it is not complete. So happy to answer any questions.
Thank you very much, Mr. Herrick. Any questions on that report? Hearing none, we'll move along. Item 2.5, public hearings. We do have a public hearing scheduled for today. It is to deal with the bylaw to amend the LUB 25-03 to rezone PID 2518-2171, 15518 Highway 6 Upper Malagash. And before I call the public hearing to order, I will advise that the public hearing is being held in accordance with the provisions of the Municipal Government Act, and the purpose of the public hearing is to provide the public with the opportunity to express their views on certain proposals prior to council making a final decision. I will now call the public hearing to order and turn the floor over to Mr. Boone. Go ahead.
Thank you, Your Worship. Good afternoon, members of council, staff, and those who may be watching online in the gallery. You've introduced the information on this particular bylaw, Your Worship, so I will move into some of the details. public hearing. This has been through council at the first reading stage. This is a change on the PID in Upper Malagash from agricultural zone, changing it to country commercial or zone. The purpose of this is to establish a takeout restaurant with an automotive service station and public restrooms or washrooms that service both the business and the traveling public. Currently, the site is a vacant site. It was formerly residential property that unfortunately had a home destroyed by fire a number of years ago. Although it's zoned agricultural, this is one of the smaller parcels that we've seen before with this council and the previous council, where lands were often zoned agricultural just based on soil conditions and an overarching zoning application done under our complete municipal planning strategy and land use bylaw. So this particular area is largely a residential area, rural in nature. There is a couple small businesses close by already. This is an intersection on Highway 6, and it's in close proximity to the municipal boundary with Colchester County. As well, it's an area that's adjacent to some Trans-Canada trails and some other trails, which is, I think, why the proponent was looking at establishing the business. There's no major agricultural operations in this area, and as I mentioned before, the lot's quite small to be considered an agricultural property and hasn't been used for quite some time in agricultural endeavors. So these site plans are zoomed in, just giving an idea of what the proponent is bringing forward. So of course, all of these are just conceptual site plans. It shows the location of the service center to the left, as well as to the takeout with the washrooms to the lower right. With any application, Your Worship, this is proposed development site planning, just to give council and the public an idea what the development would look like. It's always subject to final building permits and final development permits with respect to setbacks and location of the building, as well as driveways. So the applicant has been informed and requested to get driveway access to be approved by Provincial Public Works, so they are in the process of doing that. And prior to any permits being issued, of course, that would have to be confirmed. They're proposing 2 driveways, one off the main road, the number 6 highway, and the other off the road into Malagash, or the Malagash Road. So the idea here is to create a service need that isn't currently in the area. And also, obviously, it's a very popular location with summer and residents and seasonal residents. So an opportunity to provide service to folks that may be traveling or are spending, part of the year in the area, and also to create some opportunity for some takeout food service. So just some pictures to give you a little bit of a snapshot of the area. It's a fairly flat intersection. There's good visibility in both locations, but as I mentioned, the Department of Public Works will determine driveway locations and driveway approvals. This is a well-traveled road into Sunrise Trail. They're the number 6 highway, as most members of council know. And the sign to the upper right was just to give you an idea of some services that are in the area. So there are a number of services that are on that area sign that's been put together by the business in the area. But it does indicate that a lot of what is being proposed isn't currently not in the area. So I think it was just an idea just to give you a snapshot of the neighborhood and businesses that are close by. So from a financial implication perspective, Your Worship and members of council, proposed development would obviously stimulate some local economic activity. It's very close to the Colchester County boundary, so there's obviously an opportunity for intermunicipal economic activity as well. From an environmental perspective, no concerns have been identified. It's not in any of the special environmental areas, no wetlands that have been identified. As the property is not in an area which has municipal wastewater, it's a fair distance from our services that are in Wallace. They'd be subject to approval from DOE for on-site sewage disposal, and that would be required as part of the building permit process. One thing I will note, both from a planning perspective and from an environmental perspective, when you look at us making these changes from the agricultural zone to a commercial zone or a recreational or residential recreational zone, the municipality has a significant amount of designated farmland and reserve farmland. So this change would impact our reserve farmland by less than 1%. So staff's comfortable with, obviously, with this change. And so at this point, I know in the report, there's a map that shows you the the agricultural lands map, as well as just give you a flavor of how much agricultural land is in the area, so we're not undermining that opportunity in the future. So from a community engagement perspective, the public hearing was duly advertised as per the Municipal Government Act. Public notification was provided well in advance of the 2 weeks required on our website. And furthermore, a public hearing notice was placed in the Chronicle Herald on April 12th, and that is all in keeping. We normally post signs. I know the report said we post signs on the site. The signs were not posted in advance of the public hearing, Your Worship. Not required as part of our process. Signs were placed today. I know that was not well in advance of the public hearing. However, this matter still has to come to council at second reading, as well as there's the appeal period. So we often will place the signs later in the process, just to make sure people are aware that it is subject to an application. So, Your Worship, the recommendation today, there is none required. It's a public hearing stage only, so it's an information to allow us to give you a little more detail on the project and to see if there is any input from the public. And I do not believe the applicant was able to attend today, but they were aware that the application was moving forward.
Awesome.
Happy to answer any questions.
Thank you very much, Mr. Boone. So have there been any written submissions received to date?
No written submissions or phone calls on this application, and our planner, Kira, did a review just prior to the hearing, just to make sure that we hadn't received anything late in the game and in the process, so none that we're aware of. I think we're still good.
Okay, good. Is there anyone here from the public that wishes to speak on this matter? Seeing none. Any questions from council? Seeing none. Thank you very much, Mr. Boone. I'll now close this public hearing.
Your Worship, just before you move to the next item, if I might, we neglected to say at the beginning of the meeting that Councillor Redmond did send her regrets along and is unable to join us today, so I just wanted to tidy that up.
Thank you very much. Item 2.5.2 is a public hearing to amend the LUB 25-04 to rezone PID number 25350869 Blue Sea Road, Malaga Center. Mr. Boone, you now have the floor again.
Thank you, Your Worship. Just going to switch files here, if you can bear with me for 1 second. A couple here. Right. All right, thank you, Your Worship. So a similar application with regards to agricultural land, but looking to make a zoning change to our residential recreational zone, which is very common along our shoreline communities. At this point, we're looking at making this zoning change. So you've led us into the start of this, Your Worship. The property is located between 148 Blue Sea Road and what's known as Golden Brook. So I'll just move to the next slide, please. So again, a lot of agricultural land on Malagash Point in general. Most of the lands that are along the shoreline actually have that rural recreational residential designation. So this is an opportunity to take land that is currently vacant or just wooded land and put it into an opportunity to create some residential lots under the recreational residential zone. Your Worship, this application is really about changing the zoning to help with setbacks, which was detailed in our report. And what should be noted is that this agricultural lot could actually be subdivided under the guidelines for the land use bylaw and the subdivision bylaw as it exists. What the applicant wants to do is look at an opportunity just to adjust the setbacks to allow a little bit more buildable area on the lots. And in fact, the recreational residential zone actually has a larger lot size requirement than the agricultural lot. So the lots, in fact, will be bigger, but with the adjustment to the setbacks, mostly on side yard setbacks, it just allows a bigger footprint in respect to the siting of new residential properties on there. This area actually has limited agricultural operations in the area. There are some fields you can see to the left and the right of the subject property that do have, in fact, some field crop production, but for the most part, this area is developed with seasonal and recreational homes as well. So just again, a little bit of a flavor from the neighborhood, rural area, limited residential properties in close proximity. The only home you could see from the site would be directly across the street. There is a couple of homes further up the street, and as you go back towards the shore, you'll see that there's a lot of cottage and seasonal and permanent homes both. Golden Brook is one boundary for this property, and as with anything within our land use bylaw, your worship, setbacks from water courses would still be maintained from that brook. So the project proposal, again, Stillman On Site Inc. is the proponent and the applicant. This is a concept plan only of how the lots would be created. Again, all of that would be subject to our subdivision bylaw, and Mr. Stillman's actually here today and is actually a licensed surveyor, so he knows that process quite well. And at this point, you know, the lots would be subject to on-site sewage disposal services or systems. So that would all be done through the regular subdivision process, and there'll be access via the public right-of-way or the main road to create the lots. As you're probably aware, some newer members of council may not be, we can create one lot without frontage, so you'll see one lot off Golden Brook would be created without road frontage, but it would usually be established with a right-of-way. So that's all within our bylaw requirements. So as I mentioned, this allows for the smaller setbacks and just allows more opportunity for siting of the buildings on the site. And as you can see, the lot requirement does change with regards to the lot size, but lot frontages do shrink a little bit in the new zone. So from a financial implication, proposed development is obviously going to create new taxable lots. Additionally, the increase in development in the area supports tourism activities and naturally stimulates the economy. And we were talking about potential for a new business just down the road from this location. So all of those things are very positive. No direct cost to the municipality. Environmental implications, none have been identified specific to the site. As I mentioned, Golden Brook would be subject to our shoreline and watercourse setbacks. That's standard within our land use bylaw. And again, we talked about them requiring DOE approval for on-site sewage disposal systems, and that's required for each lot, and that's all done at the subdivision and permitting stage. So again, your worship, this public hearing was duly advertised in accordance with the Municipal Government Act. Public notification for the hearing was provided via a posting on our municipal website. It was done on April 4th, so more than the 2 weeks required. And also there was an ad, we did a duplicate ad, was placed in the Chronicle Herald on April 12th. So at this point, it's a similar situation with regards to changing agricultural land. And again, a very minor change to the overall amount of agricultural land that we have within the municipality. So again, as this is a public hearing, there's no motions required. It's just an opportunity to give more details on the project to council and the members of the public. And as I mentioned, Mr. Stillman is here and he can certainly answer any questions that I cannot address. And I didn't know if he wanted to speak in general or just if there's particular questions, he can come forward.
Good. Awesome. Okay, thank you very much, Glenn. So have you received any written submissions in regards to this?
No written submissions, your worship. We did have a phone inquiry with the neighbor to the immediate north. They were just more concerned about establishment of property boundaries, and as I mentioned, the property boundaries would be established through the subdivision process and through the legal survey. And I know that the owner seemed satisfied with those conversations I had with them yesterday. And I know that Mr. Stillman's actually been in contact with that property owner, so there's a good conversation and communications occurring. So I think that was the only inquiry we had, your worship, from the members of council.
Okay, so Mr. Stillman, do you wish to come up forward and say anything?
I don't, unless there's any questions. I have spoke to the adjoining owner to the north. There is some ambiguity with the POL mapping, property online mapping, which is common across the province. So I've talked to her. She's a relatively new owner herself, and we're still in the process of, refining the boundaries a little bit. There's some ambiguous deeds and things like that that we're working through, but that's just common practice. With regards to the environmental impacts that was listed, there was none listed, and all the lots would be subject to on-site services. I'm also a qualified person, registered with Nova Scotia Environment. I probably won't be carrying out that work myself. I'll leave that up to an engineer professional, but the lots are intended to be sized accordingly. And again, the main reason was just to get the setback reduced to allow flexibility for buildings and garages.
Yep.
I feel, I was told by staff members here at the county that the reason for the agricultural setback at 12 meters, 40 feet, which is to provide adequate distance from fertilizer storage and potential commercial uses such as that. And there's no commercial activity going on there at that time.
Right.
So there's a lot of legacy lots in Cumberland County prior 84, and if you put 12 meters and 12 meters, it's 80 feet off the lot. That's quite a bit. So just more flexibility for placement.
Yes. Good. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Any questions from council? Seeing none, thank you very much. I'll now close this public hearing. Item 4.1, major organizational items. CAO is beating the feet before I have to ask him, which is a good thing, so. I'm still not sure if this is filed correctly under major organizational items, but I'm only joking. What's that? I thought it was 29, wasn't it?
29, wasn't it?
It was 29, wasn't it? Yeah, I'm pretty sure. We'll check with Amanda on that after a bit, so, yeah. Okay, so, 4.1 is the CAO contract extension to Mr. Harrod. And the recommended motion is the council approve a one-year extension to April 30th, 2027 to the employment contract with CAO Greg Harrod and authorize the mayor to sign the necessary documentation to give effect to this extension. If I get a motion, so moved by Councilor Telling, seconded by Councilor Lockhart. Any discussion on this or any questions? Seeing none, I'll now call for the vote. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Contrary minded. Motion's carried unanimously. Thank you very much. Mr. Harrod, you're welcome to rejoin the meeting. Okay, item number 5, organizational policy and bylaw items. Item 5.1, first reading. Bylaw to amend the land use bylaw 25-05 to rezone a portion of PID number 2506-6473 Smith Road, Upper Napan. Mr. We seem to have a little bit of an issue here, Mr. Harrod.
I think Mr. Moon stepped out there
Okay.
with Mr. Stillman, so maybe we go to 5.2.
Okay, let's do that then.
Yeah.
So we'll just put a little circle around this for 1 minute until he comes back. 5.2, dangerous or unsightly policy. Director Alan Cole, you have the floor. And that's page 50 for those that are following along.
Thank you, Your Worship. This is a recommended motion to for council to approve the recommended amendments to the dangerous or unsightly premises policy 24-01 as set out in the highlighted draft policy attached to the RFD. This was reviewed at the Committee of the Whole meeting last week in some detail. I'll just go through it quickly. What the recommended amendments do, Your Worship, is give the administrator of dangerous or unsightly premises the authority to monitor a property where an order or a summary offense ticket has previously been issued for a period of 12 months and to either make further orders or issue further summary offense tickets without having to have a new complaint issued against the property. And that is set out in proposed amended section 11A of the proposed amended policy, Your Worship. Happy to take any questions.
Thank you very much. So the recommended motion is that council approve the recommended amendments to the dangerous or unsightly premises policy 24-01 as set out and highlighted in the draft policy attached to this RFD. If somebody'd like to make the motion. Moved by Councillor Strong, seconded by Councillor Fromm. Any discussion or question from anyone? I will only make one quick comment that this is a great step forward in this process for us. And thank you to all of council for your input at the last meeting about this, so, very well done, so. Okay, ready for the question. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Contrary minded? Motion is carried. Thank you very much, Mr. Cole.
Thank you, Your Worship.
And we'll, oh, Glenn is back. We're back. 5.1, first reading. I'll start again. If you're ready, Mr. Boone.
I was just booking another trip, Your Worship, sorry.
There you go. You don't have any vacations until 2029, so I'm not sure why you're doing that. Prices will probably come down by then.
You don't know my contract very well, but it's okay.
Okay, first reading, bylaw to amend the land use bylaw 25-05 to rezone a portion of PID number 2506-6473 Smith Road, Upper Nepean. Mr. Boone, you have the floor.
Thank you, Your Worship, members of council, staff, the gallery. This is your first opportunity to see this project, so I'll give a briefing on it. A little bit more detail will come at the public hearing stage if council chooses to go in that direction. As well, the proponent will do a presentation if it moves forward to public hearing. So this is a rezoning. So this is a little bit unique in the fact that we're not looking at rezoning the whole property. We're just looking at rezoning a portion of the property. This is again a unique. Mr. Stillman had mentioned in the last public hearing about some unique mapping oddities or within the property online mapping. So this PID is actually in 3 parcels, 3 pieces. Normally with an old right-of-way, they would have assigned separate PIDs to it. So just not to confuse folks when they're looking at the map, it's all bolded because it's the one PID. The area that we're considering for the rezoning is just that marked in the kind of purpley olive color and for the IR zone. This is not looking at rezoning the whole of the PID. So again, it does note it's the parcel, a portion of the parcel. So the PID is currently zoned agricultural. It's vacant. It does on occasion have field crops on it. The last time it would have been cropped was actually last season with corn, but sometimes the field does remain vacant. So obviously the circulation in some of the crop production. So it is vacant, but does have crop production on it on occasion. We're looking at going to rural industrial, and the reason being for that, Your Worship, is it didn't quite fit the definition of farm-related businesses that could happen within the agricultural zone. So staff felt it was more appropriate to bring it forward to the public open process and look to go through the zoning process and to allow both council and the public to see the project. So the proposed use is a crustacean shell drying operation, so it's a unique opportunity to support the fishing industry, but the end product actually helps support the agricultural industry. So I'll mention to you that it was originally zoned AG due to soil conditions or contents, but this is an area that is farmed for the most part. This particular piece of land only on occasion, as I mentioned. It's in close proximity to Compass Minerals. As you remember, we just recently did a rezoning for lands that Compass Minerals is going to use to expand their operation in respect to their salt brine wells. So this is an area that has seen some other trucking and rural industrial uses. So I've been to the site, Kira's been to the site. This gives you, again, a little bit of an understanding of what the neighborhood looks like. The service road that goes into this now is well maintained, but it's not a public maintained road. It's an old right-of-way, but between Compass Minerals and a few landowners that are further in on Blair Lake, they have the road maintained. The main frontage for the road is shown in 2 of the pictures there, and as well the back end of this property is actually marshlands, Your Worship, but it's not part of the lands that are being considered for the rezoning once again. This map is for surrounding context for sure. Again, showing the abundance of agricultural land that's in the area. This change to the property is only meant to deal with the area that would be for the development itself. So if you look to the right, you'll see the area that's outlined in yellow. That's all of the PID. But the area that's outlined in red, that's the non-protected portion of the lands that are not within the marshland area, which is in your report. This is part of the Nepean River Dam marsh area, but this land that we're looking to rezone is the area outlined in red to the top. So it's not within the marshlands area, and it's not part of the protected wetlands that are to the rear of this property. So very specifically avoiding those areas, and it's not within one of the special interest or special environmental areas that we have noted in our municipal planning strategy. Again, just to zoom in on the property, there are some homes in the area. I know the proponent has actually been out speaking to the residents to be proactive. There are some properties that our owners have said that they may be selling their properties. There are a few rental properties in the area. And to the far left of that photo, you can just see the edge of Compass Minerals development as well. So for the most part, the majority of the land around it and to the north is opened marshlands. This leads into the Shenectady Game Sanctuary, the Shenectady Bird Sanctuary. And so for the most part, very rural kind of area. As I mentioned, we are showing all the civic numbers on the map for clarity and for openness. And I know that the owner, or the proponent has been, as I mentioned, talking with the landowners. So quickly, it's resource-based. It is an industrial use, so we figured it was best to put it through this process. Produces primarily crop fertilizers, as I mentioned. It's a large investment, potential for job creation, as noted, 20 to 25 jobs. They're going to use the higher ground, so obviously the higher ground keeps it out of those marshland and protected areas, but also allows it to be built on a higher plateau, so any potential issues with noise or any smell or any of those items will be mitigated by putting it on the high ground. It's got a quick connection to Highway 2 for transportation of products to and from the facility. This is a road that isn't subject to spring weight restrictions, and obviously that has a lot to do with the existing Compass Minerals plant, which also is just to the left of the map, as I mentioned. So, Your Worship, spending a little more time in the first reading on this just to give a good indication to Council of the things we've been doing with the proponent. I've already talked a fair bit about the protected Nepean River dam marsh, so we've avoided any of those particular lands or property. So it wouldn't be protected, or it's not within the protected area. There's no variance required from the Marshland Administrator under that provincial legislation. The proponent was asked to confirm with the Department of Environment there was no environmental assessment or EA required for this project, and there is not. And they must adhere to the Nova Scotia Clean Air Act. So those are all things the proponent is working on in advance of the project potentially coming to a public hearing. So the structure siting and the plan design, as I've mentioned, is on the higher plateau. They're using some proprietary technology to deal with any concerns around odors and emissions from the plant. They must respect, as I mentioned, the Clean Air Act. I'd just like to reinforce that. And they will have an on-site sewage disposal system because they would be required to have staff washroom facilities and kitchen facilities. So at a permitting stage, we'll require a location certificate to verify the siting of the project to make sure it's within those areas we've identified that are environmentally sensitive, as well as they have been asked to check with the Department of Department of Highways, Public Works, and they have actually made that application. So I think they're looking to have that driveway approval in hand prior to a public hearing should council decide to go forward with this project. So financial implications, the development of the potential operation is anticipated to create 20 to 25 jobs, which is positive. And over time, there's potential to increase the employment, and also Atlantic Shell would be a potential significant industrial taxpayer. If council does approve first reading, then we would hold a public hearing on the matter in accordance with the MGA, and we would follow our process for proper notices required. At the public hearing, as I mentioned earlier, the proponent will present more technical details of the proposed development and how their proprietary technology would work to reduce any impacts in the area. They have specifically looked at areas within the municipality, Your Worship, and members of council that are more remote to remove themselves from being too close proximity to residential communities or large residential developments or even rural subdivisions. So the recommendations before you, Your Worship. I'm happy to answer any other questions, but we can have more detailed presentations, as I mentioned, at the public hearing stage.
Thank you very much, Mr. Boone. The recommended motion is that council approve first reading of the bylaw to amend the land use bylaw 25-05 to rezone a portion of PID 2506-6473 on Smith Road, Upper Nepean, from agricultural AG to rural industrial IRUR, and schedule a public hearing. If someone would like to make that motion, moved by Deputy Mayor Gould, seconded by Councillor Lee. Any discussion or questions on this motion? Go ahead, Deputy Mayor Gould.
Thank you, Your Worship. I know you said there would be more detail coming at the next meeting, but I have had a few calls because it is in my area, so I have a group that wants to meet with me next week. So I just was curious, if this is passed, would it be the next COW meeting that the public meeting would be for a date, like May 21st?
Your Worship, back to.
Go ahead, Mr. Brown.
Yeah, thank you.
Your microphone.
We're good? Okay, thank you. Back to the deputy mayor, through you, your worship. The decision of council to move forward to the public hearing, we would look to try to have the meeting, the public hearing at the COW. We do have ample time to advertise, so that was kind of our intention of staff to move forward in that direction. Waiting for today's decision, of course.
And the next thing is, and you might have mentioned it, the landowner, do they own it or do they lease that land?
My understanding from property records, it is owned by McGinnis Trailers Limited, and the owner did provide us a letter before we started the rezoning process saying that they're in agreement with allowing the applicant to move forward in the process, and they were looking at, they do have a separate purchase and sale agreement, which is obviously confidential between the two parties, so they do have a purchase agreement in place, and we asked for the letter in advance of starting the process.
Right. And other operations, does this company have other operations around?
Not
you know of?
locally.
But
No.
they do have other?
They do have operations in the U.S.
them up, okay.
So this company is a consortium of Atlantic processors, shellfish and predominantly lobster processors. So the idea would be the material would be coming from Atlantic Canada and for the most part Maritime Canada, to the plant for processing. And again, it's based on new technology and some advanced, it's proprietary by the company, but the lead on the company is actually an engineer, an environmental, or not environmental engineer. I've lost it, Your Worship, but they're an engineer that does design, so they're a design engineer. I'm not sure if it's on structural or mechanical, but they have a lot of background in engineering. So that would be part of the more detailed presentation. That
And they
would come forward.
mentioned wind direction to take the smell away, so I'm not sure, I know it's windy out there all the time, but
Yeah.
which direction is that going in? Do you know
For
right
the
off?
most part, the predominant winds are northwest, so they'll move away from town and kind of towards more of the marshlands. And it's hard because that's an area where the wind direction changes a lot.
Yeah.
So there would not be a consistent direction, but for the most part, northwest predominant winds. And most of that would move to the marsh, and in some cases, probably towards the Van Volpen farm.
Right.
Maybe in some cases where the wind shifts a bit, maybe towards the Bacon farm.
Yep.
But for the most part, it would move. And if it happens to change wind direction and move towards town, to our adjacent municipal sister town, Amherst, there's quite a distance of the marshlands, as I mentioned before, it would get there, and it will dissipate, is what our understanding is.
Right. One last question, if
ahead,
I
Mr.
may.
Deputy Mayor.
Operations, are they thinking like 24-hour operation type of thing, or is it or-
Your Worship,
Mr.
back to
Brown,
the
go
Deputy Mayor, the indication would be, initially, they're saying it could be a 24-hour operation, but it would depend on demand and supply of the material they use, but it could be potentially 24 hours. So we have asked the question, and maybe not at the outset, but I would say that it's long-term, it would be 24 hours.
Right. Thank you very much.
Awesome. Thank you very much. Anyone else have any questions? Seeing none, no, ask for the vote. All those in favor of the motion signify by saying aye. Aye. Contrary minded? Hearing none, the motion is carried. Thank you very much. Item 5.3, repealing of policies. Mr. McCracken, our municipal deputy CAO / municipal clerk, you now have the floor.
Nice warm seat here.
Hot seat.
Thank you, Worship. As you know from the Committee of the Whole meeting previously last week, we're looking to repeal some existing policies. The the deck report identified the need to do a policy and bylaw review, which Stan Tech was hired to do. They did a thorough policy and bylaw review. And the reports and recommendations included creating and amending bylaws and policies, but also repealing a number of policies that are redundant from the former towns, and even a few of our own policies with the municipality. The policies are listed in the recommended motion, under the recommended motion, and there's a motion in your package for consideration.
Thank you very much, Mr. McCracken. The recommended motion is that council approve the recommendation to repeal the following policies for the former town of Parsboro, former town of Spring Hill, and for the municipality of Cumberland, as contained in the package. Okay, motion moved by Councilor McCormick, seconded by Councilor Fromm. Anybody have any questions on this or any comments? Seeing none, I'll call for the vote. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Contrary minded? Motion's carried. Thank you very much, Mr. McCracken. And stay where you're at. Business issues, 6.1, NSCC Foundation Gift Agreement. Go
Thank
ahead,
you,
Mr.
Worship.
McCracken.
Page 58 of your package. Gift agreement between the municipality and NSCC has expired. Staff were directed at a previous meeting to enter in discussions with the community college on a new gift agreement, which was presented to the committee of the whole last week. The draft agreement is in your package. It has a few notable differences. It's quite similar to the previous one. It's a 4-year term instead of 5 years to line up with council's mandates or term. A clause that states approvals are subject to the annual municipal budget process, and there's been some clarity explained in the award of cycle timelines as well. Other than that, there's a recommended motion and the draft policy in your package.
So the recommended motion is that council, go ahead, yep, sure. The recommended motion is that council approve the 2025 to 2029 NSCC Foundation Gift Agreement. Moved by Councilor Lockhart, seconded by Councilor O'Telling. Anyone have any comments or questions on this? Hearing none, call for the vote. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Contrary minded? Motion is carried. Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Mr. McCracken. 6.2, purchase of SCBA and air cylinders. Director Alan Cole, you now have the floor.
Thank you, Your Worship. Again, Your Worship, we reviewed this at CAL last week. This is in relation to self-contained breathing apparatus and air cylinders for fire departments that received early budgetary approval under the capital budget. An RFP was issued and closed in March. The evaluation criteria under the RFP are set out on page 67, Your Worship. The bid received was compliant and under budget. The budget summary is on page 68. In total, it comes in at $32,000 and change under budget. And the recommended motion, Your Worship, is that council approve the purchase of 25 sets of SCBA for the amount indicated, and 50 air cylinders for the amount indicated on page 67, Your Worship.
Thank you very much, Mr. Cole. The recommended motion is the council approve the purchase of 25 sets of SCBA in the amount of $245,593.53, including non-recoverable HST, and the purchase of 50 air cylinders in the amount of $41,192.97, including non-recoverable HST, for a total of $286,786.50. Somebody like to make that motion, please? Moved by Councilor Lee, seconded by Deputy Mayor Gould. Any questions or comments on this? Seeing none, I'll ask for the vote. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Contrary minded? Motion's carried. Thank you very much. 6.3, the awarding of capital paving. Mr. Walcrest, Director of Public Works, you now have the floor.
Thank you, Your Worship. Council approved in their capital budget for this fiscal year paving the communities of Parsboro and Spring Hill. We released a tender and received 3 bids for this work. The low bid was submitted by Cumberland Paving and Contracting, and for a value of $1,120,192.36. That includes non-recoverable HST. Have you taken any questions council may have, Your Worship?
Thank you very much. The recommended motion is the council award the TMCC 2401 paving of municipal streets, Parsboro and Spring Hill communities to Cumberland Paving and Contracting for a value of $1,120,192.36, which does include non-recoverable HST. Somebody like to make the move by Councilor McCormick, seconded by Councilor Lockhart. Thank you very much. Any questions on, or comments on this?
I just have a question.
Sure, go ahead.
Question. In Spring Hill last year, which, did Dexter's do Junction Road and Cumberland Paving do Athol Road?
Go ahead.
That's correct, yes.
I think the other thing too, we've certainly had some conversations about this over the last couple of years. To the people that are watching these proceedings today, our intent is to do enough annually so that we get to a spot, or continue to be on a spot where all of the streets get done on a rotational basis, and that we don't fall behind and in any given year have to do much more than we would plan on doing, right? So I think it takes, what, 1.1 or 1.3 kilometers per year per town or something like that to keep up?
Just about there, your worship, yeah.
I think something, yeah, so.
Depending on condition.
Yeah.
Depending on condition. Some pavement fails sooner than others, and so it doesn't follow necessarily that straight line.
But our goal is to
Yes.
maintain it at that level, right? So, yeah, good. Any other questions or comments? None? Okay, all those in favor of the motion signify by saying aye. Aye. Contrary minded? Motion is carried. Thank you very much. 6.4, Water Source Protection Committee. Mr. Walkress, you have the floor again.
Thank you, your worship. The municipality operates the Cumberland Water Utility, and that consists of 3 water systems located in Parsboro, Pugwash, and Spring Hill. And as part of our approval to operate, the Department of Environment and Climate Change requires implementation of approved source water protection plan. Some of the ongoing work to maintain that plan is to have a source water protection committee. We've previously established committees in each of the water systems, and they've done the works in steps 1 through 4 as described in the memo in your package. And so we're at the monitoring and evaluation of the plan stage for these groups. It's been a while since we've met with them. We want to reestablish them, and as part of that, we've proposed the terms of reference for a combined Cumberland Water Utility Source Water Protection Plan that would encompass representation across the 3 water systems and meet at least annually, but also as required. There's a terms of reference in your package kind of showing how the combined Source Water Protection Committee would work.
Thank you very much, Mr. Walkress. Are you reaching for your button for, do you want to say something, Mr. Hart?
I'll wait till it's passed.
Okay. So the recommended motion is the council approve the Cumberland Water Utility Source Water Advisory Committee Terms of Reference Policy. Moved by Deputy Mayor Gould, seconded by Councilor Strong. Any questions or comments on this? Hearing none, I'll call for the vote. All those in favor of the motion signify by saying aye. Aye. Contrary minded? Motion's carried. Thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you, Your Worship. So we will begin to solicit expressions of interest for committee members. And we'll do that in the coming week or a couple of weeks, and get a list of interested folks and get the appointments to the committee made. I'd also take the opportunity now to say we're also seeking a member of the public for our audit committee, and so we'll be advertising for that as well in the next few weeks. So, thank you.
Thank you very much. Item 6.5 is the date of the May council meeting.
Your Worship, I can take that, thank you. The regular date for the council meeting, the regular council meeting in May, would be May 28th, I believe. And, am I right on that? Yeah. Yep, May 28th, and the Federation of Canadian Municipalities Conference is in Ottawa this year, and I know that Mayor Gilroy and Deputy Mayor Gould are attending, and the conference begins on May 29th, and indications are that you will be traveling on both the 27th and 28th, and so the proposal is to reschedule the meeting to the 26th, Your Worship.
Thank you very much. Anyone else have any comments on that or questions? If so, not, we'll, okay, everybody okay with it?
Need a motion.
So a motion to move the May council meeting, regular council meeting, right? Not the cow. From May the 29th to May the 26th. So moved by Councilor Lockhart, seconded by Councilor Lee. Any comments? I guess it would be none.
You meant the 28th to the 26th? You said the 29th?
Oh, sorry,
Yeah.
28th to 26th, yes, you are correct. I stand corrected.
Oh, good.
It's a good thing I have you around.
Exactly.
And longer you're around, the better I get, so, you know, I'll check the dates on that other thing later. Okay, all those in favor of the motion signify by saying aye. Aye. Contrary minded, motion is carried, thank you very much. 7, information items, 7.1, councilor recognition. Does anybody have anything? Councilor Fromm, go ahead.
Your Worship, I would like to congratulate Gordon Davison and all the staff at Riverside Convenience Store and Takeout on the opening of their new business in Tidnish. I had a chance to stop in and take a look around on their opening day, and it looked great. And from everything I've seen online, the food's amazing, so if you get a chance to stop in, please do.
Absolutely, and we wish Gordon well in that endeavor, and look forward to the convenience of having a store in Tidnish again, so, thank you very much. Anyone else? Councilor Telling, go ahead.
Thank you, Your Worship. I just learned earlier this afternoon about the recognition of Greg Nix with Cumberland Trails. He has won a Sovereign's Medal for volunteers, so he will be traveling to Ottawa to receive the award from the Governor General on April 30th, so I wanted to recognize him for that.
Thank you very much, Councilor Telling, and I will add to that, extremely well deserved. He's an outstanding volunteer in our county and directly responsible for a large portion of the trail work that goes on in this county right now, so, or for the last number of years, so congratulations to him. So, anyone else? Councilor Lee, go ahead.
Thank you, Your Worship. I just wanted to make a quick mention and a note. They celebrated their 70th wedding anniversary, Fred and Honey Jackson in River Hibbert. Wow. So, yeah, I just wanted to give a shout out that it was their 70th wedding anniversary this week. So, congratulations to them.
Yeah, and all of our best wishes from all of us, too, so, great milestone. So, anyone else?
70.
Seeing nothing, no one else with their hand up, I will now ask for a motion to adjourn. Moved by Deputy Mayor Gould, seconded by Councilor Fromm. We are now adjourned. Thank you very much, folks.
Thank you, Your Worship.
And Ally